Hi, I'm Preston Nightingale, and
I'm Madison Brady.
And we're in Mr. R's 5th period chemistry class, and Mr. R wanted us to learn, and I learned to an A level.
I learned to a B level.
The concepts in chapters 15 through 18 in our chemistry book. This is not an inclusive list, but our selection of concepts from each chapter is what we have learned and remembered. So our first chapter was chapter 15, water and aqueous systems. And something I learned is that there are different kinds of mixtures of aqueous solutions, such as the solution and the suspension. A solution being the liquid has dissolved particles in it, as a suspension having particles not dissolved, and when it comes to a standstill, either flows to the top or to the bottom that hasn't dissolved in the liquid.
In chapter 15, I learned about solvents and solutes. A solvent is the dissolving medium in the solution, and the solute is the dissolved particles.
Alright, chapter 16 was solutions, and something I learned is that the rate on which something dissolves in a solution can depend on agitation, which is whether stirring or shaking, temperature, how hot it is, how cold it is, and surface area. So if you have, for example, a cube of sugar, as a cube, it won't dissolve as fast if you crushed it to increase the surface area and then dropped it in as powder.
In chapter 16, I learned about molality, and it's the moles of solute over kilograms of the solvent.
Alright, so then chapter 17 was thermochemistry, and in thermochemistry we have a concept known as enthalpy, which is the amount of heat a system contains at STP, or as constant temperature and pressure, which is kind of like your average room temperature and pressure. So enthalpy is just basically how much heat is already in that system without anything happening to it.
In chapter 17, I learned that heat always flows from a warmer object to a cooler one.
Alright, and then finally, chapter 18, reaction rates and equilibrium, is in every chemical reaction there is an activation energy, and that is the energy required for the particles of both the reactants that need to, when they collide, the energy required to get them to react and combine or separate one another to form the products.
Awesome. That was it.
That was the same as yours?
Sure.
Oh, weren't you lucky on that?
I was.
So this is what we learned during the 5th grading period in Mr. R's 4th
This is what we learned.
period chemistry.
Period of Mr. R's 4th, whatever.
Keep it cool, tigers.